Tier 1, Chapter 9. So what do you think? Were Kate's concerns understandable, or was she being overly anxious? In Chapter 9, by the end of the chapter, you're going to see some really tender moments between Kate and Eric and get a little bit more information about Kate's past.
Chapter 9. Not only does Eric approve of my birthday plans, he all but pushes me out the door when 5 o'clock rolls around. I walk down to the gardens where Sherry expressly asked me to meet her, and I see 3 women sitting on a blanket in the shade of a large oak tree. It looks like Sherry recruited both Alyssa and Tess, and my heart swells with gratitude. Alyssa and I lived together for 1.5 years, and Tess overlapped with us for 8 months of it. That time was intense, fun-filled, and formative for me. These women supported me while I transitioned from my youth to adulthood. We supported each other. Despite the fact that we hardly see one another now, that bond is still as strong as ever. Alyssa paired shortly after I did. She and Jordan both work in agriculture innovation, and they have 3 children around the same age as ours. Tess paired a couple of years after. She is insanely skilled with computers and was on the team that programmed our current sensors. I actually haven't spent much time at all with Rob, Tess's pair. He seems like a decent guy. They have 2 boys, like us, but they are significantly younger. Both couples have service assignments that take them away from our community frequently, which works well for them, but is unfortunate for me. All 3 of them turn and see me coming and run up to greet me. I haven't seen them since my birthday last year, and the sheer act of embracing them pulls me into deep nostalgia. Though we have sent each other messages on and off, that is hardly enough correspondence to stay up to date on each other's lives. Momentarily, I long for the days when we had hours each day to compare experiences and connect. Friendships haven't come easily since pairing and procreating. I kick off my shoes and sit down to join them. Sherry, as always, has chosen an ideal spot. The grass is soft under the blanket, and all I can hear besides our laughter is the hum of cicadas in the trees. I release my hair from the clip that was holding it back, allowing it to fall loosely around my shoulders as I stretch out my legs. "Dish!" Alyssa exclaims. "I want to hear everything that has happened since our last picnic." I laugh. "I don't know that I have anything dish-worthy to tell. You are the one who should be dishing. Someone let slip that you may be expecting again. Is that true?" I tease. Sherry told me a couple of weeks ago, but I had forgotten to call. "It is true, and Sherry, I will not be trusting you with a secret again," she says, pointing accusingly in her direction. "But we'll get to that later. Seriously, I want to hear what's been going on with you, Kate." Okay. I hold up my hands in defeat. I'll do my best, but it might be horribly disappointing. I sigh, trying to determine where I should start. Obviously, the boys are now 1 year older, and that has presented certain challenges. Like? Tess eggs me on. Like, Tal suddenly has a lot of opinions on things. He doesn't just take our assessment of a given situation as the final word anymore. I know that's a good thing, but it's kind of scary. I see Alyssa nod. She has a 9-year-old. She knows. Eric and I are still doing great. He actually just had a huge break with the research he has been working on for years. I look at Sherry. "Did you already spill that secret too?" She smacks my leg in mock horror. "How dare you even suggest such a thing?" Alyssa and Tess laugh, and my head whips in their direction. "She told us," Tess admits, "but I would love to hear it from you." "Well, I don't want to repeat anything. What do you know already?" I say, feigning annoyance. "I only know that he made a discovery, that's it," Alyssa assures me. "You know Eric was working on TSGs, right?" I ask, and they both nod. He and his team have been working for years on finding a genetic variation that would be strong enough to overpower cancer cells. One of them worked. I don't know much more than that, but it looks like they are moving forward fairly aggressively. "How so?" asks Tess. "I mean, Berg wants to run pairings, move forward with actually creating these variations in the population. That's how compelling the results are." "Wow," Alyssa sighs and leans back against the tree. "So what does this mean for you and the kids? How involved does Eric need to be at this point?" "That remains to be seen," I say hesitantly, opening up one of the reusable containers and peeking at its contents. Sherry begins opening the others. She has put together an impressive spread: fresh bread, vegetables from her garden, dried fruit, and I look up at her abruptly. Oranges. There are oranges in this sack. "How in the world?" I ask, not even able to finish my sentence. Sherry laughs. "You know that one of my special skills is getting my hands on contraband." But seriously, how? How did you get these? I can't give away my secrets, she says mysteriously, looking away. These have got to be from the Southern Territories, Alyssa says in awe, unless they have started growing citrus in our greenhouses. I would think you, of all people, would know about it if they had, Tess interjects. Alyssa shrugs. I am literally speechless, Sherry. Thank you so much, I say intently as I reach out to pick one up. Wait, Tess says. I need to add the pièce de résistance. She reaches behind her back and pulls out a small package, delicately placing it in my hands. The brown paper crinkles as I pull back the edges to reveal a soft white rectangle. The shape isn't immediately identifiable, but the smell is. Oh wow, Tess, what kind is it? Herbed goat. I made it 3 weeks ago, so it would be ready. Can you believe I actually remembered to start something on time? Can you believe I'm the only one who forgot about my own birthday? Laughing, I use a fork to dig in immediately. My mouth explodes with flavor as the creamy slab melts over my tongue. The subtle gaminess of the cheese is perfectly tempered by the rosemary and oregano. My eyes close in enjoyment and Tess beams. We fill our plates, saving the oranges for last. As I press my fingernail into the soft peel, a fine mist of citrus sprays into the air. For a second, I just breathe it in, allowing it to transport me to the past. My dad worked in agriculture innovation like Alyssa, but he was mostly focused on trade. After the crisis, Berg was focused solely on local agricultural production. They wanted to help each community become self-sufficient, using only the resources they produced themselves. It took a long time and still isn't always sustainable in every Tier 1 zone. Certain geographic locations can only produce specific resources efficiently, and those resources don't always align perfectly with the needs of the people. Because of this, Berg has perfected a minimalist trade system between territories, but there was a time when they experimented with diversifying the foods that were available to everyone. My dad hit the tail end of that project. The research Berg collected during that time didn't show a statistically significant increase in quality of life based on the increased diversity of food alone, so the project was terminated. While my dad worked on it, though, he would travel between territories looking for potential varieties of produce that could be efficiently and sustainably traded. Whenever he went south, he would always bring me back an orange, or a lime, or something else completely exotic. I would savor them, eating one piece at a time until it couldn't possibly last any longer. I don't think I have the self-control to save it this time. I pull back the rest of the peel, exposing the fruit, and pop a sliver into my mouth. This is so divine, I say, best birthday ever. Sherry grins, and I can tell she is overly pleased with herself. Despite the awkwardness of our last few interactions, moments like this remind me where her loyalties lie. I need to do a better job of trusting her judgment. You didn't answer my question earlier, Alyssa says between bites. Do you really not have any idea what this discovery means for you and Eric? Haven't they given you some idea of what will be expected? Not yet. I think right now they are just trying to figure out what the initial pairing will look like. My hope is that he'll be able to bow out and start in on a new project once Berg takes over. But, I admit, I'm also gearing up to do whatever is needed. This is such a big deal. I have really struggled with how I can make my biggest impact with all of the resources we have been given. Maybe my impact is supporting Eric so that he is free to do this. I don't know. I put another slice of orange into my mouth. Enough about that, though. I want to hear about this new baby. Are you nervous to have another one? Of course, yes, totally nervous, but also really excited, Alyssa smiles. Tess reaches over and gives her belly an ostentatious rub. As we reminisce about our birth stories, I notice that Sherry checks out a little bit. I try to change the subject as soon as it makes sense. When the sun begins to set, we say our goodbyes and promise to get together again soon. I know it won't likely happen for a long while, but it feels good to show that we all would ideally like to commit to more time together. I walk home exhausted, full in more ways than one. Gently, I open the door, trying not to wake anyone. I slip off my shoes and flick on a light temporarily so I can see where I am going. My hands trace the walls as I move through the hall. Our bedroom is dark, so I toss my clothes near the closet, not wanting to wake Eric by opening drawers, and I try to use the washroom as quietly as possible. Slipping between the soft sheets, my head hits the pillow. I immediately sit back up, having hit something cold and pointy. I reach down and pick up a lightweight rope of some sort. Not immediately recognizing what it is, I pad back to the washroom, shut the door, and turn on the light. A delicate flower crown, made of fresh-picked columbines, drapes around my finger.